Hi guys, you're welcome back to this YouTube channel. So in this video I'll be teaching us how to make this simple Bubu dress, but the main highlight of this dress is the neckline. It's not your regular neckline, so it's called a Sabrina or Boots or Canoe neckline. Now to make this dress you'll be using close to about 2 yards of African print there, and I'm going to be cutting the front and back separately. Now I've folded my fabric into two like so, and then the folded part is going to be my center front, that's here. Now next thing, I'm going to draw all my lines. So I'll be starting with my shoulder line first, and I'm leaving some space before the selvage so that I'll be able to add my seam allowance, right? So I'll be drawing my shoulder line, my chest line, the hip line, and of course the hemline. Okay, so I've drawn the lines already here. So this is the edge of the fold. I have my shoulder line, which is the first line. Then distance from the shoulder to the chest line is half of my armhole circumference. Then shoulder to the hip line. Now shoulder to the hip line is called hip depth. It's usually 24 inches for most adults. Okay, and then shoulder to the hemline. So for me, I did 38 inches, and I added my 2-inch hemming allowance to the length of the dress. Okay, so I'll be folding 1 inch twice like that. Now on the shoulder and chest line, I'm going to mark half of my across back measurement, which is 7.5 on the shoulder and chest line. Okay, now still on the chest line, I will mark quarter of my bust circumference. Then you can add either 1/2 inch or 1 inch for ease, not seam allowance. Now it's called ease. It's a free garment, so it's not supposed to be fitted. So quarter of my waist is quarter of my bust is about 9.5. I'll just add half, making 10. Okay, then same thing for my hip. Quarter of my hip is 10.5. I'll add 1/2 inch for ease. So I'll be marking 11 inch. Okay, so later I'll be adding my seam allowance to it. So there, and I'll mark the same thing on the hemline. Same thing I marked on my hip line. Now I will use my long ruler to connect the hip line to the hemline. Okay, and then this dress, the sleeve is cut together with the dress. So we're going to be doing that now. Yeah. So now I'll link the hip now to the chest line, but I won't get to exactly the chest line. Now before we do that, after the mark or the point where we demarcated the across back measurements, you're going to mark the length of your sleeve. So this is where my across back stops. Now your desired length can start from 8, 9, 10, whatever. So I'll just mark about 8 or 9 inches as the length of my sleeve, or make it 11. So out of that 11 inches, I'll be taking about 2 inch for my rolled hem for the sleeve. So that's 11. Same thing on the chest line. I will mark the same thing I marked on the shoulder line on the chest line for my sleeve. Okay, so yeah, from where my across back measurement stops, I'll measure the length of the sleeve and I'm going to mark it. Okay, now I'm going to link it together with my ruler. Okay, now for this type of dress, because the sleeve is cut together with the dress, you won't link the chest line straight to the bust. Sorry, you won't link the sleeve directly to the bust measurement. Okay, you need to create some allowance. So you can actually come down from this chest line, okay, with about 1 or 2 inches. You get it? Or let's say 3 inches. But the most important thing is make sure the sleeve opening is wide enough. You know, it's wider than your bicep measurement with about 2 or 3 inches. It's very important. Okay, so I'm just going to link this to the side seam, but I'll be using my curved ruler to do that. Can you see that? So like I said, you can come down from the chest line with about 1 or 2 inch, okay, or you can just maintain the chest line. Depends on, you know, the person's bicep measurement, right? And make sure the sleeve opening is more than your bicep. Okay, so now with the aid of my ruler, I'm going to draw a straight line from the hip line towards the chest line. I'll draw it up, like leaving about 2 inches before I get to the top part there. Can you see? Then I'll use my curved ruler to link it to the chest line. Okay, so here, using my pattern master, I want to link that to the, yeah, so it's going to be like this. Okay, like this. All right, so next thing is to create the neckline. So which is the main detail on this dress. Now this is a Canoe neckline. It's not your regular neckline, so it has to be very wide. Now my across back measurement is 7.5, so my neck can be as wide as 6, yeah, or even 6.5, but the depth shouldn't be more than 1 or 1.5 inch. Yes, you heard me. The neck depth is 1.5 inch, but the width has to be very wide so that your head can pass through. So I'll be doing either 5 or 6 inches. Okay, so it has to be very close to the tip of the shoulder. So I'm marking 6 by 1.5. So I'll use my curved ruler to create the neckline, like so. Okay, then I want to add seam allowance. Then we need to create our shoulder slant. So from the tip of the neckline, I'll create my shoulder slant to where I have my sleeve opening. So I'll just mark 1/2 inch here, and then I'm just going to link it to the shoulder, sorry, the tip of the neckline. Okay, not to the shoulder, the tip of the neckline. Yeah, like this. Okay, so now I am free to cut out. I'll just be adding 1 inch side seam allowance up to the sleeve there. Then the top part, I will be adding 1/2 inch shoulder slant, 1/2 inch around the neckline. So I will cut out, and then I will still use this to cut out the second one for my back panel, right? So I'm just cutting out like so. Don't forget to add your seam allowance to the sides. So like I said, they're going to be cutting out 2 of this. So I'm just cutting out, and then I'll use the remaining pieces to cut out my facing and probably add pockets to the dress. Yeah, so I'm cutting out the excess here at the upper part here, where you have the sleeve opening rather. So this is just one. Now I'm going to cut out the second piece, and it's going to be my back piece. So basically the front and back are the same, right? So here I've already cut out the front and back, and I also cut out facing for my dress. So for the facing, your facing is the shorter version of your dress. This is my facing. Okay, it also has a neckline and all. It's just shorter than the dress, that's all. So this is my facing here. Okay, you can see, and then it should be a bit long so that it's not sticking out. Now I'll go ahead to my sewing machine and attach my facing to the neckline. Okay, so I'll just pick one on the facing, right side facing right side. I'll go ahead and turn just my neckline from one point to the other, and I'll do the same thing for the second piece. Okay, so I'm done sewing. This is my front piece. I already added my facing. You notch the curved part of the neckline, and you give it a very good press. And you should also top stitch it to keep your facing in place, you know. And this is my back piece too. I've added my facing. So next step, I'll be joining front and back together at the shoulder. Okay, right side of my fabric facing the right side of my dress. So I'll go ahead and join the shoulder together like so, with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'll just join it together there, and the other side of the shoulder, yeah, with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, all right. So after I'm done doing that, you want to give your shoulder a very good press also. Then for the sleeve opening, yeah, this is my for the sleeve opening, you want to also press 1 inch twice with your pressing iron. Then you go ahead and stitch down with 1 inch seam allowance. Same thing on the other side here. You want to press it and go ahead and stitch. Okay, so my dress is getting ready gradually. My sleeve is ready. Now I want to attach pockets to my dress. This is optional, and the placement is also optional. I decided to add my own to the center of the dress. Okay, so this is my pocket. It's 10 inch long with the folds inclusive. Okay, and then the width is just your choice, right? So this is the first pocket. You want to pin it down, and then the second pocket. It's always easy attaching your pockets before you go ahead to join the side seams. Is easier. Okay, so after attaching the pocket here, yeah, this is, you go ahead and sew the pockets. Yeah, then you're going to flip over the dress, front and the back together. You join the side seam and do a rolled in for the lower parts. Yeah, so this is the outcome of the dress, and I decided to add a little bit of trimming to the top of my pockets, you know, to make it more highlighted. So I hope you learned 1 or 2 things from this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and share.